I'm a little bit in crunch mode because of this hackathon thing, but I think I will. I just want to pop in and say hi, and then I wanted to. You want to see what I have been up to and how far I have to go. I give you a little sneak peek if you're interested. That's fine. I'm not that. I mean, like, I don't think anyone's going to be able to. Yeah, I'm fine. I have so much to do that it would be. I have a lot to do. This is there's a lot of stuff I have to do with the interface. I still have to figure out um, some of the movements. Oh, my clock is set to 150. But basically, for those who are in here that don't know what I'm working on, I'm building a game, a racing game, where you go in and you can feed these animals before each race. And I'm doing the camera controls aren't in there yet, but the camera controls look really cool when I zoom in on the perspective of this flat board. And so the animals, and you can't hear the music right now, but it's awesome. And so imagine really awesome music.
Sweet.
And then the animals run, and then the results show up here. And then that's when you're going to be, if you lost, you're going to be told how much you have lost. And if you win, you're going to get showered with prizes. And so that's kind of it. But one of the cool things about this is, and if you see this right now, and these guys are going to go up to the finish line. Um, and it's fun. Like the music, I'm like dancing over here because the music is so good. Uh, um, and basically, it's the skeleton world, and I'll just show you real quick because I know that you guys are. I know there's a lot to do for this camera lesson tonight. Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
So one of the cool things about the transition for mobile is that you can, assign the camera to the player. And so part of that is, and this is pretty cool once you see it. I apologize, this is taking a second. You can see how the racers were set up here in this mock, kind of like setup. And then, and if you go up here, you can be like, oh, that's not that. It doesn't look that great. And then that box right there is my camera. And then if I go over here, it changes on this pad. It changes to that perspective, and I change the field of view on the camera so that, let me get rid of the thing here. It changes the field of view so that you can kind of see the finish line a lot better, which is fun. I can write on the guide too. It's kind of fun. But yeah, that's kind of it. Um, yeah, there's a lot to do in the next. I don't even know how many hours there is.
Yeah. A couple of days. Um, so you've got. No, I mean, I want to see this. I want to see this thing done, but I know you're like pushing a deadline. Um, just MVP at this point.
I mean, it's the whole thing has always been MVP, and it's just finally a grasp. It's finally starting to make sense, so I can get the structure is built in a way that I can scale it up pretty quickly. Because
Uh oh, I crashed. Sorry.
I like how you animated them. They're really cute.
Oh, thanks. I started running into issues with my materials, but we'll see how far I can take it. Thank you. I'm yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for the help, Blue. I really do appreciate it. It's been really.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you, to seeing what you get finished there, and good luck.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that you're being forced because I think you can make it a lot better if you had more time. Um,
I mean, there's a hackathon and then there's after the hackathon.
there
So,
is, yeah.
and also what you're seeing, I move faster when it comes to like laying out and doing art and everything. But the code stuff has to get in place. So, and there's a lot of assets that I have ready. So
Gotcha.
that part
Okay.
moves fast. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No, I mean like, yeah, you'll pull a lot together in the last couple of days. It'll look totally different when it's ready to submit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'm around working too. Anytime you want to check in or go live, let's do it. Those sessions are always fun. So.
I think the last two times I submitted for a contest, I literally worked up until the last few minutes and submitted at like right at the deadline, within minutes.
That's been my MO too. It's not healthy. It's not good to do it that way. It's not good. I don't know how to do it other ways. So it's so stressful.
Yeah, same here. We went 12 or 11:55, and the deadline was midnight, and the world broke at 11:55, and we got it fixed by 11:58, I think, and published. It was great.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How's your project going now?
Oh, I'm not doing this one, but the one that we did before was a donut shooter, so you could shoot donuts. It was pretty
That's
fun.
fun. That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see what everyone's been working on. So close to their chests and everything. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. I already know there's some really good stuff out there. So. Yeah.
Is this
Very
from
cool.
last week?
Huh?
Is that from last week?
This what you see on screen?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Thanks for hanging out, Drew. If you can stick around, that's fine. If not, I understand you ain't got much time to spare. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I might pop in a little later. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Take care.
Later.
All right. So last week we did start working with the camera API. We were able to get at least 3 of these working: first person, third person, and attach camera. We were actually attaching camera to that ball and then throwing the camera around, which was pretty cool. We can look at pan camera today, or really whatever else comes in the list. We'll just take them one at a time. We'll try to get through all of them, but we'll set up a trigger for each one as we go. But let's see what we do. Let's just double check our work because I've been in here messing around. I just want to clean this up a bit. So first person camera trigger, I've got a script attached to it. Interesting. Edit script, copy script, remove script. Whoa, what happens if I say edit script? Oh, okay. Fair enough. So it's got a mode of 0 on first person. Attached has got a mode of 2. You've got a mode of 5. And you've got... Oh, you're a completely different script altogether. We'll just remove that one, I suppose. And we need to attach the camera. It's this script we're working in. But then if you set the mode, that changes, that corresponds with like the enum for the camera modes, actual camera modes. I want to pull that back up because that was useful to know. I think if... Yeah, I need this right here. I need the definition for camera mode. At some point, I'll find the enum for it. If we go to definition for this event, now I can right click this and go to definition for And then camera modes, right here they are. So we've got, I think it's, yeah, there we go. So 0 is first person. Third person is 1. So if this one's text says third person, we should make that mode a 1. So now if you walk under there, that should actually bring you third person. We said this one was set to 0, and that's first person. That's what it should be. Attach is a 2, so you should be a 2, and that's what that is set to. 5 is pan, and that is set to 5, so that's actually already, so everything here is good. We can play with pan for a little bit, because I don't think we got to play with that one, but we're also still going to check out fixed, orbit, and follow today. So 3 more, and if I was to grab these, do a duplicate, drag them over. I said there was fixed camera, follow camera, what was the other?
There's first person.
Orbit. Orbit, yep. So that should be it. There's 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Alright, so, and let's go ahead and number these. Fixed was 3. What the heck just happened?
This happened to me the other day in my world. It did come back though.
Here's what I typically do when this happens. I'll select an object inside of the hierarchy over here. I'll hit the F key. Oh, I know what's happened. I've accidentally hit one of my number keys across the top of the keyboard, and I've set myself to solid wireframe mode because I hit number 3 by accident. I want to be back on shaded, so I could hit the 1 key or I could click shaded here. I keep doing that and then forgetting what that is, and then I keep remembering. It's weird, but so fixed, we said, I think I actually said that was 3. Yep. Not 34. All right, follow. That's going to be 6. And the orbit was going to be 4. Okay. Now, if we go back to the script, we need to. So what's this doing? This is sending an event to the player. The players. Hang on a second, I'm thinking now. What's listening to the players? Because local camera is being referenced here, but we're not actually using it, so that could go away. We do have camera events. It must be this player manager script here. So I have a player manager. It's a local script because local scripts are required for listening to the camera. And we built this last week, I remember now. So on pre-start, we're listening to on-world enter. We're matching. Well, first thing we're doing is checking to see if our owner is server player. If it is, then we'll check to see if our player's index that we get matches the prop index for this script. So each player index or each player manager has an index variable, and it's just a number and I gave it a default value of 0. But that because I stuck it in props definitions, that now allows me to adjust it here. This is another script, but here's a player manager. And so here's the index that we're talking about. And so I've got a couple in this world, one for a couple of different people that might want to come in. But anyways, once that's a match, we set owner to that player. When owner is set on an object, if you don't already know, and anytime I touch owner, I like to mention this because it's such an important piece of owner. When ownership is changed, the object is reset, which basically means like pre-start and start run again a second time. And so on the second time, pre-start will run. Of course, there won't be any player entering world, so this event won't actually fire again. But if it did, it's like also this if statement, owner wouldn't be server player anymore, so there's a double chance it's not going to fire. There's 2 gates blocking it. But the start will fire, and the first thing the start does is check again who is the owner of this object. And if it's not equal to the server player, well, then you can do all of this stuff. And so we get player from just getting the owner of the object. We connect to the player. We connect to a network event on the player for camera change. Okay, so here we go. Because that's what local camera was sending when it got a player enter trigger, was camera change and the mode. So I'm going to save what we got here, and then over here, camera change gets received here. Our mode comes in as data. We're just using an arrow function, and we're just going to continue what we've got right here inside this arrow function. Although typically, if like there was going to be other code wrote in this script, I might recommend you put this into a separate method. But the way I've got it now, it's fine, it'll work. And this is the only thing we're doing. So on 0, first person. On 1, was it third person on 1? I need to check out go back to my camera modes. Third person was 1, attach was 2. Dang it, why'd that script close? So this is our attach mode. We referenced a ball. We just got the ball by, this is a neat trick if you've never done this. This.world.get entities with tag. I just tagged my ball with the word ball, and then it returns like every object in the world that has the tag ball. So if it's just one object, then it's an array with one object in it. So you still just got to reference like the first object in the array, assign that value to the constant ball. Just make sure ball has a value by sticking it in this if statement, right? As long as it does, like, you're free to use it as a parameter when you call the local camera set mode. You could also, if we hover over this set camera mode, we notice it does want to target, obviously, who are you attaching it to. But the camera, we looked into it, I won't waste time doing it now, but if you were to dig into the API or go into the Horizon definitions and figure out what a camera target is, it's basically a player or entity. So it's just like a type that can be a player or an entity. So that's why ball works, since it's just an entity, but you could also do player here. I think I have a reference to player because we casted it up here. And so, yeah, now it's a player. There's no errors, there's no problems. But that would be kind of silly attaching the camera to myself. Probably nothing would change. Let's go on to case 3. So case 3 ends up being the fixed one. I don't know that I've played around with fixed, but let's do, nope, no Copilot. Local camera dot set camera mode fixed. And I'm just going to do the open and close parentheses right now. And we'll look. So it doesn't require anything, but it does have some optional parameters. There's fixed camera options, and it'll also accept camera transition options. I'm curious to know what fixed camera options are. I'm going to scroll on down and see what else we've got here. So it sets it to a fixed position and rotation. If not set, the camera remains, the options, if it's not set, the camera remains fixed in place from its current. Oh, so they're telling me if I don't set any parameters and I walk into the trigger, my camera's just going to stay stationary. Let's try that. Let's see which one. It's over here. So I'm going to make sure we haven't got any errors. I'm going to clear this out. Oh, we're still compiling. Hit play. No errors. I'm going to jump right in front of this fixed camera here. So it did something with my camera. I definitely don't have control over it now. That's interesting. I don't know where it put me actually, but it wasn't where I started from. Alright, so let's play with some options then and just see if we can get control over this. Not entirely sure what default did actually. So I'm going to cast, we may have to import, what was it called? Fixed camera options. We may have to import it, but let's do, what does my imports even look like up here? Okay, so I got pan camera options. Let's just go ahead and bring in comma fixed camera options. I'm about to use it. And so I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it a constant. I'm just going to call it fixed options. Perfect. I like Copilot suggestions. And it's going to attempt to fill in, but it's going to get this stuff wrong, and that's not terribly uncommon. So we're going to delete everything that's inside of it and fill in our own stuff. But what can we put in there? So I should be able to hover over this, and now I can see it'll accept a position as a vector and a rotation as a quaternion. So what I can do is, what should the position be? Does anybody have any suggestions? A fixed camera position. So, I mean, it's really anywhere. Let's just use,
What about looking up?
well, I was thinking about, let's just use the player's head at like that moment, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't really have anything else to reference other than the player right now. So we could say player dot, we can't say player, why not? Oh, well, why don't you just relax a second. Player dot, can we say, oh, it's not even really recognizing it as a player at all. Oh, I think, sorry, I've got to reference position first, my bad. And now I can say player dot head.position.get. I guess we could also accept the rotation of the head as well. Now, it did also say we won't do that here because we defined this. It's trying to define the translation speed. We may play around with that because I think that's going to be cool. All of them really have the ability to play with like transition speeds and stuff. I think it is simply called camera transition options. So we'll go ahead and bring those in because I think every one of them really, like I said, accepts it. Let's set some up here. Copilot's on the ball with transition options as a name, camera transition options as a type. It does accept delay, duration, and easing. So it got duration and easing, although I don't think the type it's happy about. We'll fix that in a second. But let's stick in delay real quick. So this is the time before it starts to move. We can say whatever. I mean, we actually don't need one, but 1 second. Oh no, what did you just do? 1, comma, space. Jeez. Duration for transition time. Let's stretch that out a little bit. So make it a little dramatic. 5 seconds. Easing. I believe we may have to import easing in order to use the, I think it's an enum. Yeah, there it is. So now we should be able to say like easing dot, and now we have our easing types. Let's just say in and ease in and out. I don't even know what this means. And so we can change it and see what effect it has basically. So now that we've created variables and we set them to the types that of parameters, I think what we can do, this is a little weird because I think I could maybe say, I don't know, I'm going to play around with a couple of things. But I wonder, can I wrap them? Okay, there we go. I think that will work. Hotkey that I use constantly. 2 of them. Shift Alt F, which if I get my spacing all out of whack in places and things aren't where they're supposed to be, I can always Control Shift F and it'll prettify everything for me, right? Bring everything back where it's supposed to be. The next hotkey is Control S. Shift Alt F, Control S, and that saves it. So the little white dot goes away, lets me know it's saved. We should be over here in Horizon compiling now. Maybe. Let's run into the fixed camera and see what happens anyway. Oh, interesting. Every time I enter it, I think I triggered it twice. But you can see it does wait 1 second. It's rotating me to the position of my head over 5 seconds. Yeah. So it's doing exactly what we expected it to, pretty much. Delay, transition, well, not transition, delay, duration. Now, the style for camera transitions, I guess that's the speed at which it transitions, right? Like it starts out slow and then it ends off slow instead of starting abruptly and or ending abruptly. Does everyone agree? Like, would I be right in thinking that? Does anyone know? No one positive?
There's a whole lot, so I'm not really sure.
What's happened to Mutt? What happened to Burn Buns? He was here. I was actually thinking he might know. Anyway, it's actually pretty neat. And so so it's pretty straightforward as well. It's just going to set it to that position until it's told to move otherwise. And then with the transition options, you could use that to make it somewhat cinematic. In whichever way you plan on using it, right? Let's do number 4. That was orbit. So let's just go ahead and call up local camera dot set camera mode orbit. Let's just open close parentheses, no errors, so apparently everything's optional. There is an orbit camera options, and again, that camera transition options that we've already seen. Something else I'm noticing that we weren't really using is this promise. It does return a promise. Well, I think we did mention this the first time around, but we haven't actually utilized it. We might do that at some point before we end. I don't know that we'll ever get anything other than a positive. I don't know how you would make the camera fail, but it's okay. So orbit enables the orbit camera, which follows the local player avatar. So the camera transition options, we know about that. Remarks, disables any previous set camera, ignores the current values of the perspective switching enabled, and has no effect in VR where only first person is allowed. Enable the orbit camera after a delay of 1 second. I just give an example here. Okay, so let's import the orbit camera options and just see what they are. Let's cast those. So right here, I'll say const orbit options, orbit camera options as the type. Again, it gets my data wrong, but that's fine. We'll figure out what it is. So it's distance, vertical offset, translation speed, and rotation speed. And then if you scroll down, there's like a definition for all of these. So that's pretty cool. Distance, so the distance from the target of the camera, if it's not set, it'll remain at its current default distance, which is a 5. It's vertical offset, so vertical offset up from the target position. Camera rotates around the offsetted point. Okay. And that vertical offset is it's just a number. So you give it a number for it to move up on the y-axis, it sounds like. And the camera does some automatic rotation based off the offsetted point, whatever that means. The translation speed, so it controls how quickly the camera moves to the desired position, which I think was real similar to what I thought was like a combination, well, what I thought was duration. But that is a camera so camera transition open. In the time in seconds to transition from the previous camera to the new local camera. If not set, the transition is instant. And then this said, where's we at? How quickly the camera moves to the desired position. Seems real similar, I'm not quite sure. Controls how quickly the camera rotates to the desired position. So you can control the speed and the rotation speed as well. That's pretty neat, I guess. If you want them looking at their target long before they actually arrive there, you probably want them to rotate faster than they translate. That makes sense. So I don't really care for setting any of these unless anybody wants to just see one of them. But the orbit camera, let's just see its behavior, because I feel like I can picture it, but it's annoying on mobile. I can't come from this direction without grabbing the. I can only rotate on this side of the screen.
Are we supposed to stay on mute for these, or I wasn't quite sure.
No, you guys are welcome to communicate. I mean, it is broadcast live on YouTube, and so it'll stay there. But no, you guys are welcome to talk. Yeah, so that's orbit. I mean, and then these other options, like we were saying, setting, man, so many things in my way. Setting the distance, so how far away I'm orbiting. That vertical offset, I'm kind of curious about that. Let's set vertical offset to, I don't even know, let's see what a 10 is, right? So I think I need to, okay, yeah, I can do just that for now. Alright, let's go ahead. Okay. Okay, so basically I am 10 feet above, or 10 meters above where I was. Okay. And it's pretty much the same kind of control. We're really close to my avatar because we didn't change the distance. But yeah, we're also now really high above it as well. So, okay. That makes me wonder. I actually do want to play with this a little bit now, because some people want that like isometric point of view for their gameplay. And I'm thinking if we do a distance of 5 and we do a vertical offset of 5, would that essentially be the same thing? I guess it's finished. I don't know. Okay, well, I don't feel like the distance of 5, that may have been default, so maybe that 5 needs to be a 10. So let's make that distance a 10. Oops. Okay. I could bring the camera down more. It doesn't have to be so high. I could probably still back up even more, but before I back up more, let's bring us down to a 3. I wonder what the default was. I don't think it said, did it? clicking all the wrong buttons here. Yeah, so now that's more of a, and you can pan your point of view. So yeah, I mean that feels like the isometric. That feels isometric. Cool. I like that. I'll probably back up just a little more. Get it a little. Looking for like an RPG, like a top-down kind of isometric. Oh, this doesn't really keep me from changing that though. Which, whatever. I don't even know that really bothers me.
If you throw the ball, it'll put the camera wherever the ball is. Oh, that's cool.
um, Alright, I gotta reset that one. I can't get back to where I was. Alright, let's see what's next on the list. Pan. Pan's already set up. We must have played with it last week. I think I may have been trying to do the same thing because I got a -5 on the Y for the offset position. I see a 5 on the Y, so that would be upward, but a -5 on the Z. So that brings me behind the avatar, I believe. Let's just try it and see what it does. I don't even know. I don't know. Pan, right here. Oh yeah. So now I am locked. So I can't pan and I can't look around. But you know, so I am locked in this position. So I'm locked in this point of view. So yeah, no way to rotate it, look up or down. But essentially, that's how you get top down or side view, is with the pan camera. So if I was to put this Z back to a 0 and then just use like a 25 or something on the Y, so that's going, the camera will always look at the avatar. And so if we just move the camera up 25 meters above the avatar, then it's going to force look down on top of the avatar. And then that's going to effectively give us a top-down view. So let's walk into pan now. I don't think I saved that script. I did not. Yeah, so now we're 25 meters above my avatar. We're looking straight down at it, and we're locked in on the avatar. So effectively, you know, this is top-down view. And this is the point of view that I use in my game Sales, which is published, by the way.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, you can. I'm going to be still putting updates out, but I have published it just for the contest. So you're welcome to find that and check it out. And then likewise, if you wanted to do one of the side views, you would just put like a 10 on the X. So that should put me on my right, over my right shoulder. Okay, well, puts me over. Yeah, it did put me over the right shoulder. Just depends on which way I was running, and I was running this way. Anyway, so those are your camera modes. And so it's really the most difficult thing about camera, honestly, is wrapping your head around the local scripting and ownership whole ordeal. You know, I got one script called Player Manager, but that Player Manager script ends up running on 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 objects in the world right now. And if I wanted to adjust more players' cameras, I'd have to make more of these because there has to be one per player. So, yeah, that's the only real difficult thing, because once you get that part taken care of, you've seen how easy it was to just access local camera, set a mode, decide whether or not to give it options, because most of the options are just optional, and a lot of them are really the same, and if they're not, you see me go through a couple of times tonight and just kind of decipher what I was looking at. You know, started with reading the parameters. I happen to, you know, you just know that these are things that came with the camera API. And so if you didn't import them, you know, that's what we had to do, is come up here and explicitly import them. And so once you did, now you could read more about what it contains, what those things mean. But that pretty much, I think, brings us to like the end of cameras. We did say like we could do the promise, and I don't get into promise much, but let's say we did a I really don't know the difference. There's a catch, a finally, and then a then. Probably a catch. I don't know, actually, so if I really wanted to set up a promise, I would probably ask Copilot to kind of help me at this point, since I don't know off the top of my head. So I could probably right click here and go use the inline editor for this one and just say set up a promise for set camera mode first person. Okay, so we'll accept this, and let's read what it did. So it used a dot then with an arrow function, and that was camera switched. So apparently this is just like a positive response, the dot then. The dot catch is an error, which means it failed. It didn't utilize a dot finally though. I wonder if I was to say here, like dot finally. Okay, let's leave all of these in here, switch to first person camera, and see just which one of these logs show up. Because we've got a then and a dot catch for any errors, and then a finally. I'm gonna save that. Let's check this out. So, if you were wondering, the only reason we're able to do this sort of dot then, dot catch, and finally, I think, is because of this line here. And so this is the method that we're calling. These are the options or the parameters that you can, the question mark means they're optional. If there was no question mark, they would be required. But, and then anything after, typically in TypeScript, anything after this, the colons, would be a return, or it would be like a type. If it, in the event of a method, it's like a return. So this method will return a promise. Sometimes you'll see here it says return void. It doesn't return anything. But because all of these return a promise, that allows me to now get some type of feedback once it's done attempting to do its thing, which is set that camera mode to first person. Anyway, I hope that made sense to at least somebody. Was this... Okay, it was first person camera that we were messing with. So let's hit play. Let's respawn right here in front of first person camera. So we've got multiple things. Let's click clear again. Okay, now let's hit escape. Pull this up. So player enter trigger, cool. Change of camera, yeah. Camera switch to first person mode, so that was the then. Camera switch to first person mode completed, that was the finally. So the then executed first and basically told us that we got a successful transition. There was no errors. I think we would have gotten a catch instead of a then. But in either case, I think we would have gotten a finally either way. Whether it failed or succeeded, we probably still would have heard finally. So I guess that's a quick crash course. That's even really kind of... I just taught myself a couple of things, to be honest with you. But hopefully that helps somebody as well understand like promises, right? And so that was just another piece of camera that I did want to touch on. I want to also pull up the API. Oops, wrong button. Let's go here and here and here. So if we go into camera, we'll look at classes. Not very many classes. The camera itself. So all cameras have a row property that you can change. You can turn collision on and off for a camera. You can get the mode of a camera, so it's only readable. You can get the forward of a camera's direction. You can get whether or not it's in a forced look at kind of mode, like whether that's active, right? You can get its look at position. Perspective switching enabled. This is writable. Indicates whether the player is allowed to toggle between the first and third person modes. Oh, so apparently there's a hotkey where they can do that. So you can turn that on and off here. Get the position of the camera. Get the rotation of the camera. And get the up of the camera. Notice here you can get the rotation of the camera. It's only readable. Here you can get the roll of the camera, which is writable. Pretty sure that's like barrel rolling the camera. And then for so those are all properties. And then for your methods, we talked about some of these a little bit last time. Convert world to screen point, so it converts a world position to a screen position on mobile and desktop. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It sounds complicated. Force look at, so a target with some options. You can forces the camera to look at a target or position. Supported camera mode, so it has to be in one of these supported camera modes, so like attached, orbit, or follow, in order to use the forced look at. Target can be a player, an entity, or just a vector. I think there are other methods down here related to, yep, stop, force, look at. So you can stop that as well. And we looked at, let's see, set camera roll with angles, adjust the current camera roll over time, the roll rotation in degrees to set on the current camera. So yeah, roll the camera by 10 degrees over 1 second. Set camera roll to -10, duration of 1. So yeah, you can, there's a freaking method here for basically rotating your cameras over time. You don't even have to do it with like on update. They gave you an over time method. That's pretty neat. Set camera mode to third person, set it to pan, set it to orbit, set it to follow, fixed, first person, attached. Reset the field of view. So clears any field of view override, resetting it to the default field of view. So that changes the perspective that people can see at. We could play around with that. Guys, I haven't actually seen it myself. You've also got overriding the camera's far clipping plane, which I haven't seen myself either. And I haven't really adjusted the field of view too much, or at all really. Apparently you can adjust field of view over time as well. There's a duration option for that, which I'm honestly glad that the camera at least has that overtime stuff. Maybe maybe our entities will get overtime methods added to them as well. But that's I think that's all we'll do this evening. That is, we are at an hour now, and that pretty much does cover everything, I think, probably with the exception of like just seeing what this field of view kind of does or looks like. Were there any questions? Or do anybody have anything before we go?
Yeah, how do you validate that the script is running locally for the camera?
Well, the first thing we want to do is check in the desktop editor. And so if we look at Player Manager, which is the script that should be running locally, we hit the 3 little dots. And go under execution mode. This is where we can toggle between default and local. So of course local should be checked. And then, well, essentially the way I've got my script wrote, because when the world starts, and like we said, for local objects, it restarts every time ownership is transferred. So when it gets transferred to a player, which is what I did here, it restarts, runs this again, and now as long as we're not server player, as long as the owner is not server player, you know, we'll allow all this to happen. And like we know it worked, because if it didn't, my camera mode or view wouldn't change at all. So that, in this case anyway, that pretty well confirms that ownership got transferred properly and camera is interacting properly, right?
And you just have to do that from the one player camera manager and that's it? Or you have to do it from all the camera scripts?
The script, there's only one of these scripts. And so if you set local on that script, I've got that script attached to multiple objects in my world. But that will force every one of these objects to now operate under that local script behavior. I say that because there's been instances where I've wanted to run the same script on two objects, but I didn't want one of them to be local. And so you have to kind of rethink your approach if you end up in that scenario. Because, yeah, once you set it to local in this drop down, it's going to be local for everything you attach it to. If that's it, though, that was kind of all I wanted to get through tonight. Is just finish out. I think we did pretty good. We kept it right at an hour. Now, next week, we're going to be here again. And I think I have Casey Mon joining us next week. She wants to go over, I believe it's player interaction. So like the focused player interaction stuff. So we may pick that up next week and do that. So Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, same time. We'll be here live on Discord and live on YouTube again. Also, like always, Thursday nights we'll be having our Horizon 101 meeting. Open to the public, open to questions. We're going to try to stream that on YouTube as well, so you can tune in there or tune in later if you missed it. But other than that, appreciate you guys hanging out in YouTube. I see a couple of you, and everyone over here in the Discord as well. We'll see you guys next time. I'll go ahead and shut the stream down here for now. So take care, YouTube land.